Hi folks, I've been ordering a whole lot of stuff off eBay from a project, and quite a lot of it's come today, so I'm just going to show you some of the things that I've received in the post today for the Fireblade project. So the first thing to come was this, which I thought was actually going to be cooling hoses, because it's quite long, and I have ordered some cooling hoses which are I think about 1 meter long, but it turns out it's not actually cooling hoses, it's actually the gasket material. So I now have a huge amount of gasket material for making sump gaskets and any other gaskets that I need when I take the engine cases off, although I've also ordered some gaskets as well, so I might end up only using some of that. In fact, either way I'll only end up using some of it, because that's about 1 meter square, I think, so that's a lot of gasket material. So I'm not really going to need all of that for this project, which is actually quite good, because it means I've got a whole lot for future projects if I do anything like this again. So that's that. I've also got the engine oil. The engine oil, which I got, is made by Smith & Allen, which is not a brand that I've really heard of before, so I'm hoping that it's good. But people tend to say about engine oil it doesn't really matter what the brand is anyway. It's like the viscosity and the quality and what have you that's important. So this is a 10W40 excuse me, semi-synthetic motorcycle oil, which should be fine for the Fireblade engine. If anyone knows differently, feel free to put something in the comments. It was less than 20 quid for that. So I normally get Shell Advance motorcycle oil 10W40, but in this case I just went for this because it was a very good buy. It's like, I think it was about £19 plus postage or something like that, so it's very cheap. It says they were established in 1925, so hopefully that should be quite good quality oil. It certainly seems like a good deal. What else have we got? We've got this. These are the Spade Connectors and various other electrical connectors that I got for doing the wiring on the bike. I'm either going to buy a loom, a second-hand loom for the Fireblade, or I'll make up my own loom from wire using the wiring diagrams in the Haynes manual. If I do decide to do the latter of those, this will be very useful, because obviously I'm going to need wire and connectors to make up a loom. So we've got a good kind of selection here. I'm not sure what the total number is in here. I can't remember what it said in the ad. I think it's something like, I don't know, 100 or 200 or something, but there's enough there to be going on with anyway. So we've got kind of like the circular end connectors and kind of spade connectors and all sorts of stuff there. So either way, whatever I decide to do with the electrics, that will be very useful. And that wasn't very much money either at all. I think it was about 3 or 4 quid for that pack, or something like that. It was a few pounds anyway, not an awful lot of money. I can't remember what the price of the gasket material was. I think it was about 20 or something. So what else have we got? This is the ignition barrel, which I thought was actually a second-hand ignition barrel. I was expecting to get a second-hand ignition barrel, but it's actually, when I look at it, it's actually brand new. It's absolutely spotless and perfect, which is brilliant. Got a block connector there, so that'll just plug straight into the loom. If I buy a loom, or if I make up my own loom, then I can just plug Spade connectors straight in there. So it seems very nice quality as well. It's got a good kind of weight to it. I usually like things that have a little bit of weight in them. If it's just feather light, you tend to think maybe it's not very good quality, so I'm quite pleased with that. And it's got a nice kind of feel when you turn the key as well. When you listen to this, I don't know if you can hear this on the video, but see, it's a good solid kind of sound and a good solid feel. And the keys seem quite decent as well. There's very smooth action when you put the key in. It's also got a locking feature. See, when you press it down and turn it, can't seem to get it doing it. There we go. Then it brings this bit out here, which locks the steering on the bike. So that's quite a nice feature. It's which means you can lock the steering. So you've got like 3 positions or something. I think it's on for the ignition on, off for the ignition off, to turn the engine off, and then the locked position, which is that, which locks the steering. So basically like a kind of normal motorcycle lock that you get on any kind of standard bike, and it'll just screw into the top yoke. I haven't actually tried it on the top yoke or tried fitting it in the top yoke yet, but I will give that a try. I'm sure it should go in. I think these are pretty much universal, these things. So that's the ignition barrel. Again, that wasn't very much money either. I think difficult to remember the prices of things off the top of my head because I bought quite a lot of different things, but I think that was about a tenner or something like that. Again, all of this stuff is off eBay. What I might do if I get around to it is I might put links to all these things in the description of the eBay of this video. I'm not going to promise this because obviously, you know, I might not actually get around to that, but we'll see. So what else have we got? We've got a fuel pump. This was a few pounds as well, or a tenner or something like that. It's not specific to the Fireblade, I don't think. It's just like a generic fuel pump. It just plugs into the wiring loom. Again, it's got like a block connector on there with 2 pins. Got a kind of sheath on the wire. Seems reasonable quality. Again, it's got a good kind of weight to it. It's got 3 hoses, so there's 2 hoses there. Sorry, 2. I don't know what you call these. The pipes that the hoses go onto. I think is it union. I think they're unions. I have a feeling that's called unions, but again, I might be wrong. If anyone knows different, feel free to put something in the comments. So it's got those 2 there. I think they'll be the ones that send the fuel to the carburetors, and then there's one coming in the top here. I don't know if you can see that. That's it there. So that's basically the fuel pump. That I believe goes in somewhere kind of above the gearbox. I think it mounts somewhere near the starter motor or something on the Fireblade. I had a look at my Haynes manual and got a rough idea. Excuse me, my Haynes manual, and got a rough idea where kind of a lot of the different components go. This goes somewhere sort of like between the motor and the rear shock absorber, just above the gearbox, I think. But I'll need to obviously double check that. So what else we got? We've got an oil filter. Obviously, there's not much you can say about an oil filter, really. It's just an oil filter. This one is high flow. I've always had, well, I don't know about always, but I've had a lot of high flow oil filters in the past. I used high flow filters on my Honda VTR 1000 Firestorm. That was the brand that I normally used when I changed the oil. I always do a lot of oil changes on my bikes because it keeps them running well, and I usually use the high flow filters, so I've gone with the same thing this time. There's actually a sticker included, so I may or may not use that. I'm not a massive fan of stickers. I think they kind of make the bike look a bit kind of tacky, you know, so I tend to avoid stickers, but you never know, I might use it. So that's the filter. That's just compare it to the old one. That's the original filter that's on the engine block. Obviously the new one is lovely and clean. It's always nice when you get new parts and they're spotless clean and you replace the old rubbish with a new one. I stand back and look at it. There's always a kind of satisfaction from that, I find. So there we go. So that's the oil filter. Excuse me. And then we've got spark plugs. Again, I usually go with NGK spark plugs. I'm not going to say I've always used them. I think I've used, I'm trying to remember, I'm pretty sure I've used some other brands as well, like Denso and Champion and things like that. I mean, there's quite a few decent brands of spark plugs, and but I have used NGK on a number of occasions in the past, and they've always been fine. So I've gone with NGK plugs again for the Fireblade. So set of 4, obviously being a 4-cylinder bike. Can't remember how much these were. I think they were the best part of £20, which would be about five for each, which I think is fairly typical for spark plugs. So that's kind of where I'm at so far. So we've got some engine oil, we've got gasket material, I've got my ignition, got some electrical bits, the fuel pump, the oil filter, and the spark plugs. So some of the things that I'm waiting for, well, the thing that's kind of holding things up at the moment is the gaskets to do the engine cases, because although I've got that gasket material for the engine cases, the side ones as in the alternator and the clutch and the ignition, I've actually ordered ready-made gaskets for those, because I think it's probably going to be a bit difficult to cut gaskets out of the gasket material for that. I probably could do it, but I'm just going to be lazy and just use ready-made ones. If there's any problem with the ready-made ones, obviously I'll just make some up. So the other thing that's holding things up at the moment is the fact that obviously I work full-time, and that means that I don't get much time to do bike stuff through the week. So to be honest, I've not really done any work on my engine sort of since about Sunday, since I got it really. So I did a bit of work on it in the weekend just after I'd bought it, stripped it down a bit, but I've not done anything since then. But the plan is this coming weekend to really get kind of dug in and you know, kind of strip some more of the stuff off the engine. These exhaust bolts, I'm going to come out, take the oil filter off, take this bracket off. I think this is a radiator bracket. Somebody's bent it out of the way. It should be kind of like up here. It's actually I can bend it, but yeah, so that'll probably just get binned because it's bent. Somebody's bent it back and it's all rusty and a bit rubbish, so that'll be going in the bin and being replaced, or be replaced by something that I'll make up myself. And then the plan is to give the engine a really good clean. I can't remember if I did a video about this already, I think I might have done, but started cleaning the engine. It's had a good scrub with a wire brush. Had a really good go with the wire brush. That was, I think, Sunday evening, I can't remember, or Sunday afternoon. And it's had a good go with some white spirit as well. So wire brushed it first to get the loose dirt off, and then I've kind of given it a good go with rags and white spirit, and it's come up a lot cleaner. It's not looking so bad now. I mean, like, for example, all the top of the gearbox here and the top of the clutch was all quite kind of dirty and greasy, and the back of the block here, and especially between these between the inlet ports, was really dirty. It still is about, actually they need a really good go, but I need to get in there with kind of like white spirit and wire brush and really give that a good go. The top of the engine, the breakers had written on that, had written like whatever, Fireblade 1994 engine, something like that. That's all cleaned off now, but it's still a wee bit scabby, so that'll need to get kind of sanded down before I paint it. So there's loads of work to do on the engine before I even put it in the bike. I mean, at the kind of minimum, it's going to get new spark plugs, new gaskets, going to get all these stripped off and all the engine cases stripped off, painted, replaced, and the whole engine painted. And I'll probably do replace the cam chain tensioner with a manual cam chain tensioner. I'm sure there's other bits and pieces that I need to do as well. I can't think what just right now, but basically there's quite a lot of work to do on it. It's pretty much just a work in progress, you know. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for now. The only other thing is I have painted the chassis. I've nearly finished painting the chassis. What I've done is I've painted the inside of the chassis with gloss paint, with black gloss. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna make another video about that. Okay, so I'll put another video up either this evening or tomorrow about the chassis itself. Okay, but thanks for watching.